My dear friends, what about it? Friday again. And it's my pleasure because I get to be with you. I get to join with you. I get to talk to each other and review things that are always in my mind. You know, as a doctor, I'm Dr. Rodrigo Rodriguez, Medical Director of BioCare Hospital. I get to see a lot of illnesses. And the unfortunate thing is that a lot of the illnesses that we look at the present time are uh, are diseases that we paid for, that we went out to look for them, that we were working hard to get them. It's not anymore like even in COVID that you're living a fantastic life and having fun, and there's a bug that comes from God knows where, and I mean, makes havoc in our whole life, in all our health system. No, it is, we're talking about diseases that we look for them, we pay for them, we bring them to our home, we give them to our children, we give them to our elderly, we give them to everybody because we think it's fun, because we think it's cool. See, we have lost contact with a lot of things, and I'm thinking of it every day. Why? Why do I think of this every day? Because I'm a doctor. I see patients. I get people to sit across my desk and tell me, doctor, uh, I've been having serious problems because of my blood pressure, because my sugar level, because of my overweight, because of my bone and joint problems, because of my heart condition, etc. And all of them, every single one of them that I have just mentioned, are diseases we could have avoided completely. We didn't have to get them. Actually, we didn't get them just few decades ago. If you go back to the beginning of, for example, of the 20th century in America, let's say to the 1900s, most of these diseases that I have just mentioned were a medical curiosity. America didn't have heart attacks. America didn't suffer from high blood pressure. Diabetics were very rare under very special conditions, and strokes and all these diseases were not a common thing. What we were afraid of was of communicable diseases, contagious diseases, bugs and bacteria and that type of thing. But to get a body that degenerates just by itself without any explanation, we didn't have that. We didn't see it. So when I see where we were and where we are today, I have to keep on thinking every day, where did we go wrong? What did we do that brought us from a very healthy society? Think of America through the 1800s, 1900s, was growing and pushing and working and doing things and uh, building railroads and communication and factories and cars and everything. And we were an ever growing population, ever living longer. And just in, if you go up to 50 years ago, you see a total different health picture. So, what have we done wrong? And because of that, I have been working in a number of shows, of recent shows and coming shows, uh, with a proposal about what can we do, for example, about food. And I touch on food because when I talk to patients, when I talk to people, when people ask questions, and I can see what's going on, I can tell there's a lot of misinformation. There's a lot of myths and ideas and terrible mistakes that we do. And the problem is, many times by following those advices, we are going to get ill. So, what are we going to talk about today is a very important part of the human diet. We have talked about carbs, we have talked about fats, we have talked about a number of important parts of the food universe, and so we can understand it better. And if we understand it better, if we can turn our uh, cycles in an opposite direction to the direction we have right now, we're going to begin to understand a lot of things. But first, let me tell you something. We eat for a reason. Food was not designed to just be pleasure. Comfort food shouldn't even exist. Junk food, I even refuse to call it food. I would say you are eating junk. So, with all these simple propositions, you begin to understand what you have to let completely out of your life. But on the other hand, you have to sit down, close your eyes, and reflect on a very simple fact. Why do I? Why do we eat? What do we eat for? If you can answer those two questions, you're going to begin to understand what I'm talking about. We eat with a purpose, and that purpose is not emotional. That purpose is the basis of life. We eat because we have to supply our body with two main things. One is energy, and the other one is building blocks. We have to create a body. Every day we build our body because we're not the same body we had a month ago, let alone 10 years ago. We're a completely new person. We have replaced each and every single cell in the body by then. So we're always new, but we need building blocks to create that body. We need energy to do it. And you can put a little bit on the side, but nevertheless, very important, absolutely important, products without which life is not possible. We're going to need other little things that are going to make all the body reactions possible, like vitamins, like enzymes, like hormones, like vitamins, like minerals. All these things are equally important. In one word, you need from A to Z in order to be healthy and live a healthy, strong, long life. You need to have every single part of the nutritious rainbow to be able to accomplish a healthy, strong, thriving life. Otherwise, we're going to have a number of problems that are going to make us limp on one side or the other, or not be as functional as we'd like, and we will not feel as good as we should, and our emotional life is going to be disturbed, and we're going to have a lot of not only it's not only being fat or thin, it involves a lot of how we function, our emotion, our sleep, our mood, our creativity, our dreams, our everything. Everything is involved because we're just one whole body that has to work in perfect concert. How we make that body live in perfect concert? By making sure we feed our bodies right. And just as I said it with carbs, just as I said it with fats, if you begin to understand what your body really needs, then we're beginning to make important changes. Let's talk about this a little bit. One of the things is that proteins, from my point of view, uh, are a biomolecule, very important. We all talk about protein, but they have been overstated. They have been touted like the magical thing that's going to make us strong and big and unbeatable, etc. That's the way we see protein. Protein is like the holy grail of human nutrition. Well, let me tell you something, and I don't mean to disappoint you, because of course protein is very important, but it's not less or more important than the other factors. It's no more important or less important than fats or carbs or vitamins or minerals or trace nutrients. Why? Because you need them all. Protein is not going to make you. Protein is going to be only one of your body components. Only one. But that body component is going to need fats to join, fats to function, carbs to give the energy to be able to create new molecules. Protein, more than anything else, comes in smaller building blocks that are called amino acids. And you need a lot of energy. Your body is going to need a lot of energy, a lot of enzymatic intervention, a lot of vitamins and minerals in order to take amino acid A and couple it with amino acid B and C and D. That's the way it works. And for that, we need carbs and we need fats. Now, I call it the ABC of protein because it's just like the letters of the alphabet. It's not only that you need to put A, B, and C, because it doesn't work that way. It works in different combinations. Just as the letters of the alphabet make up a word, that's the way amino acids make up a protein. And it might be one A, one B, two C's, one Z, one M, one W. So you need what you need. Let's say you want to build the happy protein. You're going to need one H, one A, two P's, and one Y. If you had a lot of M's or W's, and no H and no A's, you couldn't make a happy protein. So you have to eat in good proportion of amino acids to be able to create the perfect protein for your body. Stay with me. Here you are with Dr. Rodrigo Rodriguez, Medical Director of BioCare Hospital. And I hope you're joining me. I thank you for letting me go close to you, get into your lives, and be able to communicate with you. I hope we can start a conversation because we are broadcasting this program at the Truth Be Told Radio Network every Friday night at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we broadcast again the same program every Saturday morning, 9:30 Eastern Standard Time. That's in the morning, a.m. And but we're also live streaming all these programs in the social media of your choice. So you can watch us, you can follow us, you can hear it, watch it, and repeat it again. And most important, and that's what I would beg you to do, is share it with other people. I love to share all these blogs because when I share them, I know more and more people are going to at least think of it. If you didn't think of it before, now you're thinking of it. Is Dr. right? Is he wrong? And you have the advantage that today's social media will allow you to ask a question, to make a comment, and then we start a conversation. If you share it with other people, those people will come back to you also with comments and questions. So we're going to create a community that's more and more interested in nutrition. There was a big town in the United States that decided to lose weight, and the city government helped people to plan diets, to plan programs, to plan physical activity programs, etc. And they were publishing every week, every so often, the number of pounds that all the people that registered were losing. And you can imagine that if you start adding all the pounds shed by a large group of people, where you can see it in the thousands of pounds being lost every month. Uh, and that is a community working for themselves. That's a community that, without spending any money, without having to go anywhere, without having to do any crazy thing, can do a lot for themselves. Well, it might not be your whole city, but it might be your smaller community. It might be your family. It might be your church members or your co-workers. If you sit down and start talking about all these things, it's going to be a lot of ideas coming up, and then you can implement and you can say, okay, let's do it. Well, let's walk half an hour every day at work, or let's do this when we finish the church service. We can walk around the church for 30 minutes. You can do things that are going to increase and improve your overall health. And that gets contagious. That's why I'd like you to join me. That's why I'd like you to contact us, because the more we talk, the more people we get involved, the easier it becomes and the more successful it becomes. When you sit at the table and you begin doing a program, you might feel a little bit isolated, if not miserable, because let's face it, we are so used to do the wrong thing that by going to the right thing sometimes is kind of an effort. But if you have somebody that's going to support you, that's going to say, yes, you can, I'll help you, I'll be with you, I'll do the same thing. Look, you thought of broccoli, I thought of cauliflower. You thought of fish, I thought of poached eggs. In other words, and I have this recipe and I learned this, and then we started doing it all. And then we say, and let's walk and let's go. This is summertime. In summertime, we can do a lot of things. And even in winter, there are a lot of things we can do physically, because physical activity is very important. And if you go to Spotify and search Truth Be Told Radio Network, you can look, and you can look also on the website and the social media of your choice. You can look for the benefits of physical activity, but no question about it. That's one of the big deficits we have in modern life. We do not do enough physical activities. So by doing all this, you're going to start improving. You're going to feel better. You're going to look better, and then you can make a company party or a church party or any sort of party, or even at home with the family, and say, oh my God, you look so much better, and let's add all the pounds we're losing, and let's take a picture, and how beautiful we all look, because we are now taking care of ourselves. And in trying to help that area, I started a number of programs and blogs talking about nutrition. We have discussed carbs and fats. Now we're talking about protein. And the reason I'm doing these programs is because I find that for many people it is very confusing. There are a lot of wrong ideas around there. And proteins are some of the most important, because I talk to people and you say, well, I want you to eat this, I want you to eat that, we're going to change your diet this way or the other. And many people say, what about protein, doctor? I'm giving you protein. I'm giving you protein. And you know what's the question? What about protein? Is because we think that only meats, fish, dairy products, and eggs are protein. No, protein is a very widely distributed group of nutritional elements that are in just about every food there is available. The big difference is that meats and fish and these animal products have a very high concentration of amino acids, whether legumes, for example, beans are very rich in protein. Garbanzo beans. Garbanzo beans are touted by many people as the meat of the poor people. I remember when I was young that people said, "Oh, this person." I grew up in Mexico, and I remembered when people refer about someone that didn't have any economical means, saying, "Oh, this poor guy eats only tortillas and chile and few veggies and that's it." Yet that person was strong and healthy. Why? Because tortilla has protein, because chiles has protein, because chiles are an immune enhancer, and you can find it even in health food books about the benefits of chile, etc. So these people were actually having a very good diet, and they ate some animal protein. Not the regular one, because we have mentioned meats and so forth. Okay, we didn't mention like crickets and things like that, or we haven't talked about snails. We haven't talked about many protein sources that humankind has used throughout the geography and throughout history that are very rich in protein. We're spoiled. We think protein is a steak, and that's not the case. So what we have to understand is that we need protein, yes, but we need it in the proper proportion, because we were saying the amino acids combine to form proteins like letters combine to form words. If you have the letters you need, you can write one of Shakespeare's books. But if you're missing some of the letters, even if you have a lot of protein, you're not going to have a healthy condition. Let me tell you a little trick about getting protein from plants. Of course, animal protein has a much better proportion of amino acids that suits the human needs, because animal feeds an animal. No question about it. So if we eat some fish, if we eat some meat, we're going to be with a much better supply of every amino acid than if we eat a veggie product. But the problem with veggies is that some veggies contain some of the important amino acids and some veggies contain others. Let me tell you a coincidence, because this was not created, this was not studied before it happened, this was nothing. It was just a coincidence. It happens to be that wheat contains very important amino acids, but not very complete. It's missing some. And on the other hand, one day somebody discovers tomatoes, and people loved it. The combination of wheat and tomatoes became staple food for the world. And it happens to be, now that we're talking about medical science, that some of the important amino acids that you're missing in wheat, they're in tomatoes. So the first people that started mixing them without any medical scientific knowledge just found it very good, very rewarding. And I ask you, is anybody out there that doesn't like pizza? Or pasta bolognese? We love Italian food. And that's the combination of wheat and tomato. And that's a very complete source of protein. But you need the two of them. So many times with vegetables, you need to combine 2 or 3 vegetables to create the perfect balance that your body needs. Isn't that a miracle? Of course, it's a miracle. That's God told us from the beginning, I give you all this for your nourishment. He didn't tell us, I'm going to give you this cow so you can get a tomahawk steak and that will keep you healthy. Steak is important, meat is important, but not the way we eat it. So don't go anywhere because I want to keep talking with you. You are with Dr. Rodriguez, Medical Director of BioCare Hospital. And today, like every Friday, we're coming to you through the courtesy of Truth Be Told Radio Network. And I'm very happy to be with you. I'm very happy, very thankful to Truth Be Told Radio Network for the courtesy of having me being able to reach you, being able to talk to you, being able to enter your household and discuss important things that have always worried me on one hand, and on the other hand, I have this dire need to tell you because I know it can be very important. That's going to help you. That's going to keep you healthy. That's going to give you a better family life and everything, because the more you work on yourself, the better off you're going to be. I know it would take me probably 15 seconds to convince you that if you take good care of your car, it's going to last longer and run better. I know that I could convince you very, very simply that better fuel and better lubricants are going to make a difference. I know that if I don't have any problem convincing you that proper air pressure is going to keep your tires in better shape and will provide a better service. They're going to be safer. They're going to be better. Why do I have to spend so long in telling you that if you take care of yourself, you're going to run smoother and you're going to last longer? And the reason is very simple. Because we have been spoiled. We have been spoiled in the last, let's say, 70 years, from the 1950s on. After the end of the Second World War, we started believing that we were entitled to good life. And good life involved a lot of things that are absolutely wrong. Smoking, drinking, in today's environment, drugs, and have a party every day, go to bed very late, sleep very few hours, and so on. Sit down, be in a couch, never move, never do anything, get a machine to do everything. And all that has taken a big toll on us because we're actually losing our lives. If you look at statistics, you're going to see that in the recent years, the expected growth of life expectancy in America has not been there. We have been steady at the best, which means we're not living longer as we used to ever since we started measuring life expectancy. So we're doing something wrong. Now, 7 out of 10 people are going to die of a disease that's chronic inflammatory disease that we brought to ourselves. and mainly because of our lifestyles. And a very important part of that lifestyle problem is what we eat and our physical activity. If you can make changes in the two of those, even small changes, they're going to go a long way. You're going to feel better, you're going to work better, you're going to be more aware, you're going to be happier. Because a lot of functions that we, how can I convince you, for example, that your mental well-being, your sleep possibility, that your mood depends on the health of your intestinal flora. And it doesn't take too much. Of course, I'm a doctor. To me, it's fairly easy to look at someone and say, you have colon problems on you. Because if you look at the face of someone that's getting a cramp, or it's bloated, or has some sort of chronic inflammatory colitis, just look at their faces and you know there's something wrong. And they're not going to be happy, they're going to be depressed, they will not be able to sleep well, etc., etc. And all that comes because of what food we bring into our body. So we have to learn. That knowledge is going to give us the power to get a better body. It's like I told you, it would take me 15 seconds to convince you that better care of your car will deliver better service. But we don't think of that when we think of ourselves. So we have to think of that. We have to say, you sit at a table, you look at your plate and you say, why am I eating? What am I eating for? And then you can say, okay, this food is good, is clean, is well prepared, is local, it's rich in nutrition. Okay? And when you go to junk places, you look at things that are refined, wrong fats, loaded with refined sugar, and with a lot of artificial things, sweeteners and colorants, etc., because they just want that food to look good and to be appealing. They don't care if it's going to be good for you. And the opposite happens, curious enough, the opposite happens at the gas station. Because when you stop at the gas station, the attendant is going to tell you, we have this better octane gasoline, which is a little bit more expensive, but will deliver better performance. Or we can use this lubricant, which is a lot better. When you go to eat, nobody tells you this food is going to make you feel better. This food is going to make you better. So there's only one person that can take care of that part, and that's yourself. That's why you have to learn about it. That's why you have to get the education to say, this is what I have to do, this is what I wouldn't have, I shouldn't do. And then share it with my family and create a team of people that are going to be working on our behalf. We're going to be a happy, healthy family. And then why don't we share it with friends or neighbors, etc.? So we can get a healthier group of people all together. Because at the rate we're going, we're not only not living longer, we're going to be very soon start living shorter. And one of my problems, my very personal problems, is when I see diabetes and high blood pressure and heart disease on a person that's only 40 years old or 45 years old. That didn't happen in 1900, didn't happen in the 1800s. So what have we done? Those diseases are not contagious. That's not a bug. That's not a bacteria that came out of a lab or anything like that. That wasn't transferred from a different animal to us. And now that we're talking of protein, Let me tell you something also very important, which is one of the big mistakes people do with protein. We have discussed that protein is not only animal, but it could be vegetable, and actually very good. You just have to know how to do it and how to combine your vegetables. Now, with protein, we have this feeling that more is better. Is that true? No. I see people that are, for example, doing bodybuilding, and they buy these big jars of wheat and protein shakes and all these things because they need all this protein. No, you don't need it. You know, I'm going to tell you something that sometimes make me even a little bit sad, because I wish we could eat, or we would have the excuse to eat more. Let me, and I'm going to read it. Let me read you some numbers that are very important. We only need about 7 grams of protein for every 20 pounds of weight. So let's say you are a 140-pound person, a small person, you only need 50 grams of protein. Now let's say you're 200 pounds of weight. Well, you need 70 grams. How much is that? That's 2.5 ounces of protein if you are 200 pounds. 2.5. That's steak the size of this part of my hand. That's 1.5 eggs, 2 eggs maximum. And that's for 24 hours. So let's say you have 2 eggs with breakfast. You don't need any more animal protein for the rest of the day. Now, consider that with those eggs, you had also some beans or some other form of food that contains protein. Actually, the amount of animal protein that we need is very minimal. We don't need more than that. And that when you try to eat a lot of protein, many times we have nutritional mistakes. Like, for example, if you have, I was talking about a tomahawk steak, well, you're having a lot of fat. You're having a lot of other foods that you don't need a lot of. So you're doing mistakes. God made it in perfection. Believe me, 2-3 ounces of steak or chicken, a couple of eggs a day. I'm not saying this, and this. Either one is going to be enough to keep you healthy. That's what people used to eat. Okay, small piece of fish, a small piece, and a lot of vegetables, and your carbs to give you the energy and the fuel to handle all these functions. So we have to become more frugal when eating. People complain with me very frequently, like, "Oh, doctor, I have been gaining weight because I don't have time to go to the gym, or I work a lot, many hours. I don't have time to go to the gym." Close your mouth. Be frugal with food. Be smart with food. Because the smarter we are, the healthier we're going to be. Think of your body care the same way you think of your car's care. Good food, quality food, frugal, and that's all you need. That's all you need. And to be able to achieve that, you need to comprehend food and to comprehend your body and what of that food your body actually needs. See? So start putting the pieces together, and you're going to be very happy you listened to this program. Friends, I'm Dr. Rodrigo Rodriguez, and I've been talking about food. I've been talking about food for the last few programs because it's, to me, probably the cornerstone of health and health management. If you want to prevent disease, you have to think of food. If you want to deal with disease, you have to think of food. You can be healthy, you can be ill. You still have to need to plan your food, because food will make a difference. Food will keep you healthy, but food will heal you back. Thy food will be thy medicine is an absolute truth, because your body needs to repair. Your body needs fuel to fight off. Your body needs everything. Needs the energy, needs the amino acids, needs the fats, needs the carbs, needs everything to be able to not only fight off the disease, but also to recover and heal and heal the damaged areas. Every time we have a disease, we kill a lot of cells inside the body. It's a real fight. It's like going to war. I mean, you're watching the news all the time, and you see how the enemy bombs and destroys buildings and highways and bridges, etc. So, but once the war is over, that's not the end of the problem. You have to rebuild everything. And to rebuild everything, your body is going to need, again, a lot of energy and building blocks and amino acids and carbs and fats, etc., etc., etc. So food is very important. And we deal with a lot of people. At BioCare Hospital, we deal with a lot of people that have very serious illnesses. And thank God, every day we have more and more people that just want to be healthier, which I love. I love people that come to my door and say, "Doctor, I'm 51, 55, I just having a ball, I'm having a beautiful life, and here's my wife, my children, etc. And I'm doing well, but I think I could lose some weight. I could feel I could be better. My doctor told me that my sugar level is borderline, etc." I hate those borderlines. You have a borderline problem, call me, because you can turn it around. We're just used to say, "I'm going to the doctor when I'm diabetic." No, call me when you're borderline. Call me when you think you're going to be borderline. Not even when you are. You say, "I've been gaining weight, I have done this, I have tried that, and I don't seem to get to lose the weight, I don't seem to..." Call me. I might give you a lot of good advice to do things at home, but I might tell you, why don't you come to BioCare Hospital and have a 10-day health getaway and just be pampered and taken care of while you are changing the way your body works. When I can convince you that good food can be very palatable and fun, where I can do targeted nutrition, because the funniest thing, I would say, rather, the unfortunate thing, is that in spite of the overwhelming supply of food that we have, in spite of the overwhelming amount of food that we eat, we are depleted in very important nutrients. I mean, in America, we're now seeing B12 deficiency. We're seeing other vitamin B, other parts of the B complex deficiencies. We're looking at mineral deficiencies, zinc, magnesium, and you name it. And we saw it in the recent COVID epidemic. People were very low on zinc and magnesium. Magnesium is probably one of the most important minerals in the body, but we don't get it. We don't get it from the food because our food comes from depleted fields. Now, what you have to do, you have to supplement those important elements. Many vitamins are deficient because we eat food that's not really high quality food, because we don't eat fresh things. We don't eat raw foods. So I don't say you have to have a raw diet, which, by the way, leads me to this. There is not one perfect diet that you could say, well, if I do a low carb diet, a low fat diet, this diet, no, that's abnormal. That's abnormal because we were created as omnivores. We were created to eat everything that God has offered us. And we should eat all that. It's just that we have to choose our foods. We're going to put the priority on local, fresh foods rather on foods that have been shipped from Chile or Thailand or you name it. Because you don't know what has happened to those foods. You're going to cook your foods very lightly, very gently. You're going to use mainly water. You can boil something, you can blanch, you can simmer, you can steam foods. Because as long as you use water in your cooking, you're limiting the temperature the food can get to 100 degrees centigrade, because that's the temperature at which water turns into steam. If you have boiling water, it's going to get to 100, period. Never go beyond, because it's going to turn into steam and go away. So that's important. When you deep fry, you get 3-4 times the temperature. And that's unhealthy. A common question I have from patients when I talk about fats and I praise olive oil, people tell me, doctor, but I know that olive oil is not good for frying because blah, blah, blah. Well, two things. One, that's a mistake. Olive oil is a good oil for frying because its boiling point is actually lower than other oils. So it is safe to deep fry in olive oil on one hand. But on the other hand, and that's more important, I feel that fried food is not for human consumption. So yes, you can do onion rings in your birthday or Thanksgiving or probably at the 4th of July, but that's it. They should not be part of your daily food. So if we learn to choose all these things, we're going to be a lot better. And once again, our patients go through a very important nutritional program. We work with them, we change their diets, and we do even intravenous programs. Why? Because the lack of certain elements in nutrition has to be covered immediately. And what better way? We're a full hospital. You're not coming to a spa, you're not coming to a natural center or anything like that. You're coming to a real hospital. You're going to have MDs and licensed and certified nursing staff that's going to work with you, and we're going to be very thorough testing, and we're going to say you're low on this, you're low on that, so we'll have to replace that on those 10 days you're going to be with us. And if you're sick, we have to replace them because we need them for your body to work back, to bounce back, to heal. And the only way to do it fast is by doing like an intravenous infusion of all these elements. That's what we do. So nutrition goes at BioCare Hospital, it goes way beyond our kitchen. Even though we're very proud of our kitchen, we work on your nutrition in each and every possible way. And we test for all these elements because we want to make sure you're in good health. We measure for inflammatory factors, for necrotic factors, for immune performance, for all these things. And then our program together is going to make you feel better. I don't have one patient that has left the hospital and told me, well, I didn't see any difference. All of them brag about it. Actually, the most common comment is, I wish I would have known before. So now you know about it. And I don't tell you, come down immediately. I ask you to read about it, to go to our website, to ask questions, to review your possibilities, to take a good look at yourself and say, okay, I'm 50 and 60 years old. Is it time for a 60,000-mile checkup? Is it time for my 60,000 mile checkup? What can I do for me? I'm having a good life, I'm having a good job, I'm having a good family. Why don't I do something for myself to improve? But I tell you, if you just go back home and create a situation room and sit with the whole family and discuss some of these aspects, I'm sure some in the family, and I bet you some of your children, will jump at it and say, yeah, yeah, Dad, I think we could make a way with this and bring this other thing. All this is very important because that's what makes us. Not only makes us, but that's what makes us function. And every single function of the body depends on very critical, even microscopic parts of our body. We're not only muscles and bones, we're cells. And every cell has a membrane. And every membrane is what makes it possible to bring things from the cell to the blood flow and vice versa. And from the quality of each and every membrane in the body depends the quality of this interexchange. That makes you healthier. But you're not going to be able to accomplish it if you eat the wrong fats. If you have inflammatory foods, like some of the wrong fats. If you have the wrong proportion of protein. If you eat too much of this protein, it's not going to help you. We have said it. We need all the possible combination of amino acids your body needs. So your body can build the proteins that are make a new you every day, because that's the way it works. Every day we're going to be getting rid of cells that are damaged or old and getting new cells in place of them to do the job. And that's the miracle of life. The miracle of life is that we are a brand new you every so often. Make sure that brand new you is the best it can be. I'll see you next week.